Imagine this. You break the law, big time. Maybe it's a white-collar crime, like embezzlement or insider trading. Or perhaps it's something more severe, like fraud on a massive scale. The kind of crime that makes headlines and gets people talking. You're facing serious jail time. The courtroom is tense, the judge's gavel echoes, and the reality of your situation starts to sink in. The sentence is handed down, and it's not looking good. But wait, there's a catch. Just when you think it's all over, there's an unexpected twist in the tale. You're rich, really rich. We're talking about the kind of wealth that can buy you almost anything. The kind of wealth that opens doors and creates opportunities that most people can only dream of, like private jet, yacht party, Scrooge McDuck moneybags rich. So what happens? Do you end up in the same kind of prison as everyone else? Or does your wealth afford you certain privileges? Do you face the same fate as everyone else? The cold, hard reality of a traditional prison cell, with its stark walls and minimal comforts? Or is there a different kind of justice for the 1%? A justice that comes with high-end amenities and a lifestyle that, while restricted, is far from the harsh conditions faced by the average inmate. Welcome to the world of luxury prisons. These are places where the wealthy can serve their sentences in relative comfort, with access to amenities that would be unthinkable in a regular prison. It's a reality that sounds like something straight out of a satirical news segment, but it's very real. These facilities exist, and they cater to the rich and powerful. We're talking about prisons where the wealthy and powerful can serve their sentences with access to amenities and privileges most people can only dream of. Imagine having a gourmet meal prepared for you every day, or being able to work out in a private gym. Think gourmet meals, private gyms, and maybe even a personal assistant to handle those pesky legal documents. It's a far cry from the typical prison experience. These facilities blur the line between punishment and privilege. They offer a level of comfort and convenience that seems at odds with the very concept of incarceration. They raise serious questions about fairness, justice, and the very nature of punishment itself. Is it really justice if the wealthy can buy their way into a more comfortable sentence? In a world where money often talks, luxury prisons stand as a stark reminder of the deeply ingrained inequalities that permeate our society. They highlight the divide between the haves and the have-nots in a way that is both striking and unsettling. But hey, at least the caviar is sustainably sourced, right? It's a small consolation in a system that seems to favor the wealthy at every turn. Forget those images of cramped cells and gruel for dinner. Luxury prisons are all about redefining what it means to be behind bars. These aren't your average correctional facilities. We're talking about places where the accommodations are more akin to a high-end hotel than a place of punishment. Think plush beds, ensuite bathrooms, and maybe even a private balcony with a view, though hopefully not of the exercise yard. Gourmet meals prepared by private chefs are the norm, because nothing says I'm reflecting on my actions like a perfectly seared Wagyu steak. And it's not just about creature comforts. These prisons often boast state-of-the-art fitness centers, so the wealthy inmates can maintain their physique while contemplating their crimes. And for those who prefer a more intellectual pursuit, well-stocked libraries and access to computers and the internet are often provided. It's enough to make you wonder if these are actually prisons, or simply all-inclusive resorts with a slightly more restrictive guest policy. Okay, so we've talked about the concept, but where do these luxury prisons actually exist? You might be surprised to learn that these high-end incarceration facilities are scattered across the globe, often hidden in plain sight. They are not your typical prisons. They are designed to offer a level of comfort and amenities that you would expect from a high-end hotel or resort. These facilities cater to a very specific clientele, those who can afford to pay for a more comfortable stay while serving their sentences. Well, they're not exactly advertised on billboards. You won't find flashy ads promoting these luxury prisons because they operate in a more discreet manner. The exclusivity and privacy they offer are part of their appeal. But if you know where to look and have a few million to spare, you might find yourself checking into one of these exclusive institutions. These places are often tucked away in affluent areas, blending seamlessly with their surroundings. They offer a stark contrast to the overcrowded and underfunded prisons that most people are familiar with. Take, for example, the Santa Ana Jail in California. This facility has undergone a significant transformation over the years. Once known for its tough-on-crime approach, it now offers a pay-to-stay program where inmates with the means can upgrade to cleaner, less crowded cells. This program has been controversial, but it has also been a source of revenue for the facility. The upgraded cells come with various perks, such as more comfortable bedding, better food options, and increased privacy. Inmates who can afford to pay for these upgrades often find their time behind bars to be significantly more bearable. Then there's the infamous Justice Center in Vienna, Austria. This facility is often referred to as the five-star prison due to its luxurious accommodations. It was designed with the idea that a more humane environment could lead to better rehabilitation outcomes for inmates. This facility, dubbed the five-star prison, boasts spacious cells with flat-screen TVs and private bathrooms. The cells are designed to provide a sense of normalcy and comfort, which can be crucial for the mental well-being of the inmates. It even has a gym, a running track, and access to a library and a theater. These amenities are intended to keep inmates physically and mentally active, which can aid in their rehabilitation and reduce the likelihood of reoffending. And if you find yourself on the wrong side of the law in Switzerland, you might end up in the luxurious Champ-de-Lons prison. This facility has been praised for its humane conditions, featuring spacious cells with natural light and modern amenities. The cells at Champ-de-Lons are designed to be as comfortable as possible, with large windows that let in plenty of natural light. The idea is to create an environment that is conducive to rehabilitation rather than punishment. These are just a few examples, and the availability of such prisons varies widely around the world. Some countries have embraced the concept of luxury incarceration more than others, often sparking debates about the ethics and fairness of such systems. But one thing is clear, the idea of paying for a more comfortable prison experience is gaining traction in certain corners of the globe. As the debate continues, it raises important questions about justice, equality, and the true purpose of incarceration. Section 4 Behind Gilded Bars, Famous Faces of Luxury Jails. Now you might be thinking, who are these people who end up in luxury prisons? These aren't your average criminals. They are individuals who have often lived lives of immense privilege and power, only to find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Their crimes are usually non-violent but highly impactful, involving large sums of money or significant breaches of trust. Well, it's not exactly a guest list you'd want to brag about. These prisons house some of the most infamous names in the world of white-collar crime and political corruption. We're talking about white-collar criminals, corrupt politicians, and influential figures who have abused their positions of power. These individuals have often orchestrated complex schemes that have defrauded countless people and institutions. And yes, even the occasional celebrity who took a wrong turn, or maybe just a really bad selfie. These are people who, despite their fame and fortune, couldn't escape the long arm of the law. One notable example is Bernie Madoff, the mastermind behind one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history. His fraudulent activities affected thousands of investors and caused billions of dollars in losses. The scale of his deception was unprecedented, making him one of the most notorious financial criminals of our time. After being sentenced to 150 years in prison, Madoff's case became a symbol of the consequences of unchecked greed and corruption. He reportedly enjoyed relatively comfortable accommodations at the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina. This facility, while still a prison, offered amenities that are far from the harsh conditions one might expect. Then there's Conrad Black, a former media tycoon who served time for fraud and obstruction of justice. Black's case was another high-profile example of how the mighty can fall. He was incarcerated at a minimum security prison in Florida that's been dubbed Club Fed for its relaxed atmosphere and amenities. This nickname highlights the disparity between the experiences of wealthy inmates and those in more traditional prison settings. These facilities often include features like tennis courts, libraries, and even gourmet food options, making them seem more like exclusive retreats than places of punishment. These are just a few examples of the high-profile individuals who have experienced the softer side of the justice system. Their stories serve as a reminder that even those who seem untouchable can face consequences for their actions. While they may have lost their freedom, they certainly haven't lost their access to comfort and privilege. The existence of such luxury prisons raises important questions about equality and justice in our society. It challenges us to think about how justice is served, and whether the punishment truly fits the crime for those who can afford a more comfortable incarceration. As we continue to explore these stories, we must ask ourselves, is this the kind of justice we want in our society? The debate continues, but one thing is clear: luxury prisons are a stark reminder of the disparities that exist even within the justice system. Section 5, A Tale of Two Prisons, the stark divide in the justice system. Here's the thing about luxury prisons. They shine a glaring spotlight on the vast inequalities that plague our justice system. While the wealthy can afford to serve their sentences in relative comfort, those without means are often subjected to overcrowded, underfunded, and often inhumane conditions. We're talking about a system where basic necessities like hygiene products and decent food are often considered luxuries, where access to healthcare is limited, and educational and rehabilitative programs are few and far between. This stark contrast between the experiences of the rich and poor in prison raises serious questions about fairness and equal treatment under the law. It's a system where your bank account seems to have more influence than your actual guilt or innocence, and that's a problem. Section 6, The Price of Freedom, Ethical Concerns, and Public Outrage. So, are luxury prisons ethical? That's the million-dollar question, both literally and figuratively. The very existence of these facilities sparks outrage and raises serious ethical concerns about the privatization of justice and the commodification of freedom. Critics argue that luxury prisons create a two-tiered system of justice, where the wealthy can essentially buy their way out of the harsher realities of prison life. This undermines the principle of equal punishment for equal crimes and erodes public trust in the justice system. Others argue that these facilities create a perverse incentive for corruption, as those in power may be tempted to abuse their positions to secure more comfortable accommodations for themselves or their wealthy associates. The debate over luxury prisons is complex and multifaceted. There are no easy answers, but one thing is clear. The existence of such facilities raises uncomfortable questions about fairness, equality, and the very purpose of punishment itself.